Alright, welcome back. This one is going to be the solo tier list. Just to note, this is my personal opinion on these gods. If you have different versions of them, go ahead and have them. This is just my tier list breakdown of the solo lane and where you can see most gods. Some may be missing, some may be added that you've not really seen in your games before, but this is how I kind of see where they're all playing out right now in terms of viability. Anything from S through A is technically, in my opinion, pickable, but would you pick anything in A over picking something in S? Probably not, is the way I'm kind of looking at this. That's the way you've got to kind of see this one being played out right now, and we'll go through this list here and we'll talk about exactly what's going on. Tyr and Bellona, top of the shop. Tyr has a fantastic laning phase. He is very strong against all gods, has ridiculous sustain. He can pretty much neutralize any negative matchup in this lane if played correctly. His early game is decent, his mid game is decent, his late game is very, very strong as well. This is basically where Tyr should be at the moment. He's top of the shop. He should be picked in this lane because his matchups, for the most part, are all okay. Even if he has a negative matchup, the likes of someone that's going to push him under the tower all day, he can still sustain and farm safely. If it's not, he can still cause a lot of issues for him as well. So Tyr's top of the shop. Next to him, Bellona. Shockingly enough, Bellona, very, very strong. The bludgeon damage is insane. Can cause a lot of problems for him. Has a bit of an issue with Tyr, so it can cause some problems there with Tyr to actually be able to bring him down and cause some issues. But Bellona, very safe in the lane, has a lot of damage potential, has kill potential on most of the targets in lane, and should be picked or banned away. You don't really want to see her in games because she's got great damage potential and protections as well. Checking in with the rest of the S tier now, we're going to see Hercules up there near the top. Hercules, very safe lane for the most part. May have one or two bad matchups like against Bakasura, but that's exactly what he needs. Pretty much safe for the most part. Deals decent damage in terms of wave clear, has good team fight potential, doesn't have too many matchups. Even if it's a negative matchup, he can still farm pretty much safely, escape himself out with Driving Strike, will be building tanky as well. So, for the most part, Hercules, very safe. Vermana's up there too. Vermana's seen more and more play once again. He's still got the big baby form, super safe, good wave clear, good damage potential. With the attack speed items that have been built on him just lately, like Odysseus bow, he can deal a lot of damage in team fights as well. And Vermana, super safe in the lane. No reason not to pick him. Bakasura alongside him. Baka has some fantastic matchups in here. One of the most aggressive assassins that can go into the solo lane right now. Has kill potential on most of the warriors. Can cause a lot of issues for them for the most part. May have a bad matchup now and again against some of them, but he's pretty much got kill potential on pretty much anyone he goes against in this lane. If the enemy misplays against him, Baka can kill them. He has to watch himself a little bit though. His wave play is not the strongest, and he's one of these gods where I think he's kind of alright where he is right now. He's got a lot of damage, but if he goes off, he goes off. If he doesn't get going though, he's not as big and strong as he is. He can be outplayed for the most part. Aphrodite's up here as well. Aphro is for the most part safe in lane. She's strong. She struggles against some of these gods though that she's up against in here. Like some of the ones alongside her, she can have good matchups against. She's a good strong solo laner in terms of a mage. Good for team fights overall, should be picked up if you're looking for the extra sustain from a team. Can farm safely under the tower, although some of these gods may tower dive her, and it takes a little bit of a while to come online, but she is a viable pickup in the solo lane. Just got to be careful with positioning for the most part. Farm safely, you can do okay. Going further down, Chang'e on the S tier as well. Chang'e's matchups against a lot of these gods. She plays a lot like a warrior in terms of his playstyle. She's very aggressive. Against some of these gods, she can really put the bruise into them. Has some bad matchups too. She's not always going to win every single matchup, but she can cause a lot of issues for her. Would you want her every single matchup? Not necessarily, but good wave clear, decent sustain, good amount of time she can stay in lane as well. So Chang'e's up here as well. Next up, Hades is on the list too. Hades is going to be seeing some play here. The reason Hades is in S tier and not S plus is because Hades late game is bleh. That's how I feel about Hades late game. Hades late game is bleh. He's got a really good fear that you can control and silence. He's got one of the lowest cooldowns in a CC for a Guardian in the game. His wave clear is insane. He just doesn't lose lane. He just doesn't lose lane, Hades, and that's why he's up in S tier here. If you want to go into lane as Hades, you won't lose lane. All you have to do is farm, you will win lane based off that. You'll constantly push whoever you're against into tower. You have damage potential against them, and you'll be able to cause them a lot of issues as well. So Hades is very, very strong. That's why he's up here. Chuck, super safe, super boring, has decent matchups against near enough all of those. Honestly, he's just there for the safety factor. He'll provide what you want him to the team fights to an extent, which is a front line, which is hard to bring down and has that AoE silence for team fights. He's nothing special, but he's in the S tier because he's totally viable and pickable and deserves to be up there, honestly, because he's super safe and does what he needs to do. Going down to S minus tier, there's going to be Hell. Hell has some bad matchups. She's very strong though, and it's about her getting through the early laning phase there, where she can have a few issues. If she gets invaded, for example, it can cause her problems. If she has some aggressive players against her, she can have some issues. But for the most part, deals a lot of damage. Great team fight potential. Good escapability, well, good survivability is what I want to say, not escapability. Good survivability in terms of that, has heals built in as well, forces teams into weakening curses. Is a very, very good all-round goddess Hell. The only issue is that she, like I said, the early game she can struggle with a little bit, and some of the matchups with the gods above her can cause her a few issues. She's definitely there though. Ra, I've put Ra in S minus here. I think I should change my mind on this. The problem is that I've not actually. I just like print screen these and put these up. I could have actually done this live, and I'll do that next time. But Ra at the moment, I've put him in S minus. Ra's a safe god when you think about it. The matchups above him, though, he has pretty bad matchups against some of the ones above him. He can be killed is the issue. He can be tower dived over here. But if you're looking for someone safe that's going to just farm up and look towards the mid late game, where he's going to have Lotus Crown online and the sustain from Rod of Asclepius and just build full sustain and team fight orientation. Ra's a really good pick, but you've got to get to that stage first of all. Some of those gods he's up against are going to cause him some issues. Arachne, S minus. Her wave clear, her farm is pretty safe for the most part. Her wave clear is a little bit on the weaker side. She's got to get in melee range, but to be honest, she's got damage potential. She has good matchups against the likes of Bakasura, and could cause some issues there. She's pretty safe for the most part. It's hard to kill her as well in the lane, but then when it comes to team fights, she's still going to suffer with confirming her damage, and the team fights has to be melee rage too. But she can go off in this lane a little bit like a Bakasura. Would I want her over a Bakasura? No, that's the reason why she's a little bit further down. Humbas too, for the most part, wave clear is not bad. Has kill potential in the lane, lots of escapes, lots of damage potential. For the most part, Fear No Evil, very good. The only reason it's probably not in the S tier and just a little bit further down is that I feel that it would be better to have the Humbas available for all stages of the game in the jungle. Why would you pick him not in the solo lane over the jungle unless you're looking for a second jungler, I guess, as well. Humbas very, very strong here. Has decent damage potential, not bad matchups against most of them, can farm up, get Transcendence online and deal a lot of damage, but would I pick him over the other ones? I'm not so sure. Jean-Qui in the A tier now. Now, everything in the S, I'd see like week in, week out in the solo lane, and I'd be happy to see A tier. You could pick them. A plus is Jean-Qui. Jean-Qui has bad matchups for the most part against some of these gods that he's in lane against. Very sustaining, good for farming, great for team fighting. His early game, he can sustain up and get big and strong, but some of the matchups he'll be against in the solo lane, the way the meta is played right now, it's a bit troublesome because obviously the invade potential can really hurt him and losing the blue buff. He's still tanky though. He's still viable. He's still playable, but it just depends on the matchups you're against to make him really work for your team. In the late game though, he's very, very strong. Down in the A tier, Odin. Odin's burst potential is really, really big right now. His wave clear is really, really safe and easy. His early game is strong against pretty much every other matchup in this lane. He can pretty much outclear everyone apart from maybe Hades, he'll be even with. And he can wave clear really, really effectively. The only problem is that to wave clear, he has to use all his damage, and he has to prioritize dealing the wave clear over the damage or damage over wave clear for the most part, unless they misposition themselves in the wave. So he's not always going to be perfect here, and it's going to cause a few issues. Good team fight potential though with Odin. I mean, to be honest, you're going to probably build him more tankier than damage dealing, but you're going to want some damage on the Odin. That's why you're necessarily not going to see him over the likes of the others. I mean, he can have good matchups against some of the ones above him. This is why he's also viable and pickable in this sort of position. Fenrir is pretty much kill potential on a couple of these targets. He can farm pretty much safely, has good sustain with his Seething Howl, and has good damage potential with Brutalize. Just as gods above him that are going to do things better than he is. Like I said in the late stages of the game, hard to confirm his damage with Brutalize. You're looking for auto attacks and in-hands, but he can go off in lane and cause some issues for them too. Pretty safe for the most part, with the Ragnarok for escape if he needs it, let alone just engage him. Guan Yu, alongside him, Guan Yu's a little bit underestimated. Once again, I just feel Guan's really underestimated right now. Tello Assault is fantastic wave clear. It's hard to confirm it though. For the most part, but against the gods he's against in this lane, there's only a couple of them. If you look at the ones above him, that can really stop him using that Tello Assault. Jean-Qui with a stun, Hercules with a driving strike, Vamana can't stop him, Bakasura can't stop him, Afro can with a kiss. and that's it. I think that's it. Oh, Hades Fear. I guess they're the only ones that can really stop his wave clear. So his wave clear isn't as bad as you think. He's got good sustain with conviction. His ultimate is very, very high in terms of damage. One of the highest abilities in the game. His teamfight presence is strong. He can build naturally tanky and still deal a lot. His heals are very, very good too and underestimated. Good survivability, good escapability. I think Guan is a bit underestimated. Kronos alongside him. Kronos here. Hyper carry in the late game. Hypercarry in the late game is really, really good. His laning phase, for the most part, can be pretty safe. It just depends who he's against in the lane. Do you want so many hypercarries in the team, though? It all depends about team composition for the most part when you look at these tier lists as well and just see how your team's based off. But Kronos has a lot of damage potential. He's got some decent matchups here. He's just looking to farm and get to late game. He has kill potential on some of these targets, but he's got to play very, very safe against it. Early invades can cause him an issues again. That's why a lot of the mages you won't really necessarily see. I mean, even Afro, Chunga, and Hell suffer from the early invade potential that can come out from the enemy team, which can really screw you over. But Kronos, if he gets susceptible to being invaded, it can cause him some problems too. Bastet's on here as well, because we've seen some Bastet play recently. There's one or two that I've missed now that I'm reading chats and doing this. I'm like, where's some Wukong? But if I missed them, generally they're between A and B. For the most part, I wouldn't have missed anyone that deserves to be in S or above, guaranteed. Looking at Bastet, Bastet can wave play pretty effectively, has good damage potential, good poke ability in this lane. Pretty safe, honestly. Her wave clear is not the strongest, though, because she wants to use her bleed for wave clear. It's not easy to confirm all of that on all the minions, though. But she can farm up, get Transcendence online, go off with cats, has kill potential on some of them, can be played here. Same with Nemesis. Nemesis has been picked up in the EU quite a lot in the solo lane, played by Zalia, and you've seen it before as well. Actually, I missed Loki. Oh my god, I missed Loki. I'm an idiot. I will have to make sure I put Loki in, and I think Loki might. I was wrong. Loki should be probably Esther. Nemesis is currently in a decent position, honestly, in this tier. She's got okay matchups. Her wave clear is not amazing. She can't full wave clear with one ability. She still has to auto attack down. Has some good matchups against the tankier targets. Can be pretty safe. Shields can reflect damage back. Not bad against Bakasura, for example. That's one of the reasons why she's on this list. Noir, once again, she's just safe. She's just safe. She can farm. She's hard to kill because of shining, because of her ultimate. She's got decent wave clear. She's just safe. But even against some of these warriors, they're just going to go off on her sometimes. And there's not a whole lot she can do about it. I wouldn't necessarily pick Noir. Nisha's on this list as well because he is underestimated again. He plays like most of the other assassins. If you can land your sashes in these combos, your ring toss is pretty good wave clear. You're going to have your passive as well as the blue buff to be able to sustain. Having that passive is pretty strong actually in the solo lane to keep your survivability going. Has kill potential, good team fight presence as well, a little bit like Bakasura in terms of that, as well as Bastet. I mean, he brings the same sort of thing as the assassins do, and can be played. Hebo, a little bit further down. The reason Hebo's a little bit further down is just matchups are just so bad. Burst potential is good, his damage potential is good, but he has to farm. He has to farm. If an underfarmed Hebo gets going, he's not going to do anything. The gods above him, even if they're not farmed, they're still going to do stuff. They're still going to provide things to a team. Odin's still going to provide a ring. Fenrir's still going to be able to Ragnarok. Guan Yu's still going to be able to heal his teammates. Kronos still going to be able to put stuns and CC out. Bastet is going to be able to at least drop cats and beads and be a pokey person. Nemesis still going to be tanky. Nuwa still going to be able to escape and put poke out from range. Nija still going to be able to use ring tosses and take somebody out of a team fight. What's Hebo going to do if he's underfed? What's Hebo going to do if he's not farmed? He's going to press 4 and die. That's why Hebo's a little bit further down. I still think he could be played. I just think the meta he's currently in, he's just rough. He's just rough for where he is. Osiris down in B tier. They hurt him a little bit too much, I think, with Osiris. He could be moved back up to A. I guess he's probably not as weak as B+. I think I just dropped it in there to have somebody in B. And I think Osiris probably could be moved up a little bit further. He's just very weak at the moment. He's got good matchups against some of the other gods, though. But would you pick him over the other gods in the lane, other warriors? Like, you wouldn't pick him over the other warriors right now, at least in my opinion. For the most part, you wouldn't look for that. Loki is one that I missed off here. Unfortunately, I missed Loki like an idiot. So what I'm going to do quickly is while I'm doing this, is I'm just going to add this now for you so you can see it. So you see where I'd put Loki. Okay. Loki. Right, go. Loki. Where's Loki? It's up in the top here. Loki would go... Why did it have to be that colour? Come on. Come on, give me a break. Bop. Bop. There we go. Right, Loki. I'd probably put Loki here. Or maybe in the S tier. I think S minus seems like a good place to put Loki right now. With how he is. I think Loki's got... is very safe in lane for the most part. He's not got great matchups against some of the other gods, so he can be bullied early. The thing with Loki is his late game is very, very strong, but it's getting to late game. And if he struggles really hard early, it takes him longer to get to that late game standpoint. You want Heartseeker and you want Jotuns before he's really effective. When he's got those two items online and Heartseeker's fully stacked, Heartseeker, Jotuns, Boots, okay? When those three are completed, rather, and he's fully stacked Heartseeker, he can deal damage and be an issue for the team. He's got split push ability, he's effective, but he's getting to that stage that can cause him some issues. Most of the gods that he's in the S- tier or in the S tier above him will cause him these issues, prevent him from farming, or heal the minions to stop them from being able to be brought down and killed, and he'll have a lot of issues. But late game, he's very, very strong. Very, very strong. That's my look at the tier list of solo lane. If you don't like it, okay, but that's just how I view the tier list of being at the moment in terms of what you should be looking to pick and ban or play in your games. Some of this is from competitive side, some of this is personal opinion too. Obviously, everyone gets influenced by their personal opinions. I'm not going to deny that some of this wouldn't be what I've seen in games or played as is in games. That's why you see Guan Yu in a couple of these, because I'm a bit in love with Guan Yu right now, and I think he's very underrated. But across the way, though, some of this is from competitive play too, and hopefully you can agree with the most part or don't agree with others as well. And that's the solo guide. Alright, now I'll reach out and listen to everyone whinging